Steve, Stacy, the debate today here at the State House over which students should use which bathrooms brought out a lot of emotion from parents who all say they want to keep their kids safe, but they have very different ideas about what that means.
I don't know a dad that wants their daughter going to the bathroom with a biological male in there, or going in the shower with a biological male showering with them.
I'm the parent of transgender children. When my daughter is in the restroom, she just wants to use the restroom. She's not there to harm your children. She's just there to go to the bathroom, just like any other kids are.
A new bill would require Iowa students to only use bathrooms that correspond with their sex at birth. Lawmakers plan to expand the bill to include locker rooms and showers. Supporters call the bill proactive.
My concern isn't about transgenders. It's not those individuals that are most likely to be sexual predators, but rather the sexual predators that could exploit this type of situation by posing as transgendered in order to gain access to women and girls. And I'd just like to add that one assault would be one too many.
Others argue it's harmful and unnecessary.
Transgender students in Iowa have been able to use the restroom that matches their gender identity since 2007. And over that 15-year period, we haven't seen any uptick in school restroom-related safety incidents. And let's be clear, doing anything in a school restroom aside from using the facilities for their intended purpose is already illegal.
The bill would also allow any Iowan to file a complaint about someone breaking the rules and would direct the Attorney General to investigate.
It's important for students to need to feel safe using the bathroom and other facilities in school, including locker rooms. They should have to worry about who else has access to them.
This bill empowers everyday individuals to attempt to police restrooms and make even non-transgender individuals like myself feel unwelcome simply because of how they're dressed, how they style their hair, or how someone thinks a man or a woman should look.
Now, both a House bill and a Senate bill that would restrict bathroom access passed out of subcommittee today. They'll both have to move out of committee by the end of this week to meet that final deadline and stay alive for the rest of session. Live from the State House, Amanda Rooker, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.